This episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast was brought to you by Murad Skincare Australia. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today, my guest is Samantha Johnston from Marci Wellness. Sam is a born empath with a passion for holistic therapies and a belief that true skin health is a result of a 360-degree view of the body. After 10 years working as a head therapist and trainer in some of Melbourne's most coveted beauty salons, Sam decided it was time to follow her dream of creating a sanctuary for people to heal and move to the beautiful 12-acre property in Red Hill. Surrounded by nature, Sam has created a series of ritualistic facials, combining all of the knowledge she has learned working alongside energy healers, nutritionists, and massage therapists to bring you a uniquely luxurious and holistic beauty experience. Sam shares with us today what it means to create space for clients to feel grounded after a treatment, why performing a treatment is an emotional experience for many of her clients, and exactly what touch can do for us during such an isolated time we are all in at the moment. Here's Sam and I for Beauty Industry. Sam, welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Tamara. I'm so glad to be here.
I am so excited to have you on today. I start all of our podcast episodes in the exact same way, which is diving all the way back to how our guests started and entered into the professional beauty and aesthetic industry. So I'd love to start with you there today.
Yeah, of course. For me, I was about 21 when I decided that I wanted to get into the beauty industry. And I really liked the idea of working for myself one day. So I think that's what really, really drew me towards that. And I've always been quite a healer. So I think when I first started, I really loved all like the waxing and everything like that. And then slowly over the years, I turned to like facials, and then it grew into kind of what I'm doing now, which is the facials and the healing as well. So it was just a natural progression for me. And yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, very cool. So you didn't come out of high school and go straight into beauty and study there. Did you know what you wanted to do at high school, or how did you find that pathway?
I had no idea. I was actually managing a bottle shop, and I had two girls come in, and I saw the name of the beauty school on their shirt, and I was like, oh, where's that? And I looked into it and saw that I could study in between working as well. And I just kind of jumped into it. And yeah, I had no idea when I left high school that I'd be doing this, but it just kind of took me there.
Yeah, so very special. You mentioned there that you're somewhat of a healer, and we'll talk about the treatments that you provide shortly. But do you think you've always been born with that? Or, I mean, has that been innate within you, or have you developed that as you've grown?
I've always been a bit of a healer, and I'm a massive empath. So I feel everything around me, and I am a massive introvert. If you put me in a room full of people, I just kind of sit there and I just kind of observe, and that's just where I like to be. So I've always been really healing, and my mum and my nan have also been, so I think I've grown up with that around me.
Yeah, so it's pretty natural that you came into the aesthetic industry and you were like, I found my people.
Yeah.
Very cool. For those of our audience who don't know, I've actually mentioned your name on this podcast before when we spoke with Stacey Burt of Little Company, because I had a treatment with you, and we were just actually chatting before recording that it was probably a good 5 years ago, which is well overdue,
Yeah.
but still the best facial I have ever had to date. At what point did you want your treatments to extend beyond the typical kind of facials that you were learning at the beauty school? And can you also explain for our listeners who haven't had a treatment with you, like, what is so unique about the treatments that you provide?
Yeah, of course. For me, I think through like my own experiences as well as seeing clients over the years, the what was happening within the skin was so much bigger than just the surface, and all of our emotions and our stress and our gut, as we know it, all takes a toll and takes an effect on our skin. And for me personally, when I was using the best skincare, I worked on my gut, all of that. And it wasn't until I kind of dealt with that emotional side that my skin really started clearing up. So I really knew that there was something there. So my treatments, I really, really aim to just hold space. So the same as what you would get if you go into a meditation class or a yoga class, I do the exact same thing, and just hold space for my clients to feel whatever they need to. We do focus on the skin, but it's really about that kind of full body soul healing. And even if clients are unaware of what I'm doing, they feel it at the end.
Yes. Well, I went into your treatment having zero expectations. I actually didn't even know we were going and having a treatment. It was an end of year Christmas party, and somebody said, okay, lunch is done. We're going to have treatments. And I was like, fantastic. And walked in, and I just thought, oh, this is going to be another facial where I sit there and I chatter and I go, why is she doing this with the towels? And why isn't she doing this with the headband, and blah, blah, blah. But as soon as I was laid on the bed and just the headband placement, I was like, holy goodness, what is going on here? This is like 2 minutes into the treatment. I already feel like I could cry and hug at the same time. So when you say hold space, I mean, it's quite a unique, what's even the word for it? It's quite a unique thing to be able to do, because not everyone can hold space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. And when you say the emotional side of a treatment, how do you actually experience that or get your clients to go to that level? Because it is a very vulnerable and trusting space for people to feel emotional or let you into their personal space almost.
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of it has to do with the way that I am interacting with them. And when I treat, I guess I allow my body to become part of theirs. So I'm just energetically guiding them to be able to drop down and to really feel. And my treatments, generally we don't talk. I'll have a massive chat with them at the start, but it's really about bringing it down into them. So if they have any emotions arise, if they want to talk to me, they can, but at the same time, I just set the space so that it's just really, really comforting. And that's got to do with the music and the touch and the smells and all of that, because it's that full journey into it.
Yeah, well, you really changed my perception, because I had been in a role where I had been encouraging therapists to talk for such a special, such a unique part of the treatment, specifically the consultation. And afterwards, you diagnose, you analyze, etc. You come back into the room, da 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 da. And so I was kind of expecting that as well. And then when you talked at the start and then just kind of left me, I was like, she didn't say anything. Which is so different to how a lot of us run our treatments these days. But at the end, I think because we just connected so energetically and emotionally, I just wanted to buy everything you used, even though you didn't say anything, which is very unique.
Yeah. I think in today's society, we all want to be heard and we all want to be listened to. So that's what I want to do. And if someone comes in that has skin conditions and skin concerns, like I can definitely discuss that with them. But it's just about reading the client and kind of seeing what experience they're coming in for today. And just listening. It sounds so simple, but it's massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And listening, I've said this on the podcast 1,000 times, but listening to hear rather than listening to respond, because we all sit there like I am now, listening to you, waiting for you to finish your sentence so that I can go, oh, and this, and this, and this, right? Whereas we actually need to sit, and when somebody is talking, absorb and onboard what they're saying and how they're saying it. And did they look away when they said something? Or, did they look down? Did they touch their face? What it's active listening in its truest form.
Yeah, definitely. Like body language is amazing. And if you can tune into someone's body language, like sometimes they don't even have to verbalize anything and you can pick up on stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me then about your philosophy and why you treat the way you treat, because, you do treat very differently. I mean, how are all of those rituals and experience and your philosophy on skin, how's that all intertwined together, and why do you treat that way? Why don't you go, here's the modalities and the machines and the peels and all of that kind of stuff?
I think a lot of us look over the fact that our skin is a living organ. It's our largest organ, and we I feel like we've kind of lost touch with that and with our intuition and really listening to ourselves. A lot of the times, if someone comes in with a skin concern, yes, we might look at what they're using topically, but it's also about all the other factors as well. So as I mentioned before, someone could be on the most amazing routine, but they could be having other triggers. So whether or not that be diet related, emotional, stress related. And for me, I really like to educate clients to feel empowered to actually notice these changes and maybe why particular conditions are happening at particular times. And at the end of the day, I might see their skin every 6 to 8 weeks, but they see their skin every single day. So I really try and empower them to be able to make decisions at home to nurture and care for themselves. So yeah, that's massive for me. And a lot of my treatments are all around a sensory journey, and our sense of smell is amazing. It can help bring us out of our mind and back into our body instantly. So that's a huge thing that I like to encourage both in treatment and at home as well, just to take those few minutes to pause, because most of the time we're all just running around. Even if we think that we're stopping to look after ourselves, most of the time we're not.
Yes, it's almost like a form of kinesiology. Sometimes you go, oh, my knee hurts, I've got this chronic knee pain. And you're like, where has it even come from? I haven't done anything. And then you go and have kinesiology and they're like, oh, have you talked to your mum recently? And you're like, what? And they're like, oh, well, all of this emotional buildup is presenting in your knee. And you're like, what the heck?
It's crazy. I love kinesiology. I've had kinesiology frequently for like the probably last 4 or 5 years. And that's been another thing that I guess has really shaped me as a person and also the way that I treat. And it just shows you again how everything is connected.
And so much of what we go through emotionally is trapped in the body and especially in the face. And we don't even realize it until we unlock that. And all of a sudden the shoulders come down and the frown lines start to disappear, or the acne or the inflammation all of a sudden goes. And it's not generally not due to a product per se, but it's just because of that emotional release through the treatment, which is such a divine way to have a treatment.
Yeah. Like I'm sure we've all heard someone say to us at one point, if they've gone through a traumatic experience, they're like, I've literally aged overnight. And it's not because they've done anything different with their skin. It's the emotions and how it's showing and how it's displaying. And yeah, you can do some really amazing things from a simple chat and then just taking that minute to pause. It's pretty cool.
I'm curious to know, because In our industry, there are so many courses in machinery and products and ingredients and things like that, and not really in the way that we actually treat with regards to touch. Like, somebody popped into my DMs the other day and they were like, I want to learn how to do a pressure point facial massage. And I didn't even know where to send them. And generally I'm like, go here, speak to this person. How did you learn to provide such stunning treatments?
For me, it was a progression, I guess, over the years. So I was really lucky. I worked alongside Stace at Little Company for quite a few years. And through them, I was exposed to some really amazing brands who their whole philosophy was around that ritual and around that touch. So, which I really, really gravitated towards, especially being that natural healer. I was like, hang on, this is a different way of doing things. And I studied Reiki as well to learn more about that energy healing. And then over time, I just used my intuition and kind of took bits and pieces from all that I'd learned and kind of started making it my own. I think the one thing I've really learned from myself, and also when I was doing training, is that you have to do what feels right for you. If someone shows you a technique or shows you a different form of massage and it just doesn't feel right and you feel awkward and clumpy doing it, it's going to come across that way. So it's really about finding what feels good for you and what feels natural, and do it really well.
After the break, Sam shares with us how to overcome the physical barrier that the pandemic has put between us and our clients, and how to emotionally connect with clients without holding their emotional energy throughout the day. But first, a word from our beauty partner. Community, if you are looking to gain total skin wellness for your clients, then look no further. Murad's science-backed professional skincare treatments and solutions promote healthy, nourished and beautiful skin. Murad's founder, Dr. Howard Murad, is recognised around the world as a leading visionary for his unmatched scientific innovations. A board-certified dermatologist, trained pharmacist and associate clinical professor of medicine, Dr. Murad has personally treated over 50,000 patients, so it's safe to say that he knows skin. For more than 30 years, Murad has been committed to developing clinically proven, cruelty-free products that meet the meticulous standards for safety, efficacy, and care you would expect from a doctor. Plus, they're supported by Dr. Murad's industry-first research for the most advanced formulas that don't just consider a symptom or a concern, but rather address total skin health. The team at Murad want to help you achieve yours and your clients' skincare goals, and they're so kindly offering a free product pack to start you on your journey. That is right, you heard it here. It is free. All you have to do is email kbacon, that's KBACON, at murad.com and mention the Beauty Industry Podcast to have your Murad skincare pack sent out to you. As a longtime lover of Murad myself, trust me, your clients and your skin will thank you. Thank you so much to the team at Murad Australia for making this episode of the Beauty Industry Podcast possible. And now, back to Sam. How often, I mean, obviously 2020 lockdown, Melbourne, etc., but prior to the world turning upside down, how often do you have treatments?
Oh, not a lot. This is going to sound really weird. I don't really like people touching my face.
A therapist who doesn't like people touching her face, that's the biggest oxymoron ever.
I know. I love the touch. And so like I'll get massages and stuff like that. And I love facial massages, but I don't know why. I just hate people touching my face. So I probably only really get a treatment maybe once or twice a year. But then for me, I do things like Reiki or I go and get kinesiology, because that is what helps to bring me back into my body and also helps me just ground myself again on why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I do it that way.
Yeah, and perhaps that's why your treatments are so special, because maybe you're not going and having a facial every single month, but you're incorporating a bit of Reiki, a bit of kinesiology, a bit of spiritual healing into the facial, which is so different.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Speaking of lockdown and all of the emotion things that we're feeling, I can imagine clients, especially in Melbourne, being locked down for such a long time, they might be a little bit hesitant to come back out and to be touched, because we've literally just been in our houses with our closest people. There may be quite a barrier towards the therapist and the client. I can imagine your clients are going to get pretty emotional after the treatment, or they perhaps did even beforehand, because of the touch. Can you share with us what that kind of conversation interaction actually looks like when you return to the room after giving somebody a facial?
Yeah, of course. Um, it's different for each client. I really find that. No treatment is ever the same, because someone's going to take what they are needing from that treatment. So if I come back into the room and someone's feeling quite emotional or quite dazed, I just really, really focus on holding that space for them. And again, it's about that body language. I don't always, we don't necessarily have to talk. If I can see that they just need to take a moment, I allow that. I allow them just to take that time to breathe, because, yeah, when they come out, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I had a really beautiful client in the other day who she told me at the end, like when she was leaving, that I was doing the eye cleanse. And I think because we all have been so craving that touch and that caring touch from somebody outside of our home. I was doing the eye cleanse and she just had a few little tears coming out of her eyes, and it's so beautiful, but I was so glad that she felt comfortable to become that vulnerable. So that's something that I really kind of focus on, and again, just holding that space. And I leave a lot of time in between my treatments, so I don't have to rush them out of the door. So if they need to take 5-10 minutes just to kind of sit there and we can just chat, I'm all fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because the last thing you need is a client who's emotional and crying and wants to kind of let it all out, and then you're like, okay, I've got to go get out. I've got to quickly flip over the room and this next client, and that would be the opposite of holding space, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's, yeah, from a business point of view, leaving such a long time, probably not always a smart business decision, but for me, it was one of the best things I've ever done. And it also helps me going into my next treatment as well, because I'm not feeling rushed and I'm not feeling flustered, and I can help remain just kind of grounded throughout the day. Yeah, I think it's really, really important.
Mm. And I'd love to touch on with that word grounded that you've just mentioned, because when I looked on your website, the reviews, I mean, the word grounded is so prominent in almost every single person's reviews, which is a real, what's the word? It's like a very special skill to be able to ground somebody, right? Not everyone can do that. I've had
Yeah.
some shocking facials where I've walked out angry and ungrounded, whatever the opposite of that is, like floating in
Yeah.
the air because I'm so frustrated, right? Wound up would be the opposite of grounded. How do you do that? I mean, obviously, we don't want you to share all of your secrets because that's your magic sauce, but how does one ground somebody, and what does that even mean?
So I guess setting the room and setting the space is obviously a really, really important thing. And that comes with the music that you're playing and stuff like that. You don't want anything that's too upbeat, because they might finally get to that relaxing point and a song comes on, it pulls them out. So that's definitely something to really consider. But I, at the start of my treatment, at the end of my treatment, I take them through a breathwork exercise and a mini meditation to really help drop them down instantly. And when I'm treating, as I mentioned before, I allow my body to become a part of their body, and it's like this really beautiful moving meditation, or like a dance kind of with the two bodies, and it's just really amazing. But you have to just really sink into that. We all know if someone's head's not in the room, like if we've all had facials before where we've walked out really frustrated because you know that the therapist wasn't there. They might have been thinking about everything else out the world apart from you. So you have to bring your attention into that room and really focus on them, because you can tell when someone's not.
Yeah, for sure. I think just thinking about people who might not understand what we're trying to say here in terms of grounding and also holding space, I guess it's all about just being really present and conscious with your client. So, when your client falls through the door and they're late and they've just parked the car and they've just chucked up, they've chucked everything in their bag and run through the door, you can go, okay, this client needs to relax. So let's not just rush her into the treatment room. Let's give her or him some water, some tea. When they get in there, take their time undressing, take the 3 breaths, bring them back to consciousness, because when we're just shallow breathing and running around like an absolute maniac, we're just living up here rather than actually being grounded. And then that's when you provide that treatment for them. And I just wanted to clear that up for anyone who's going, what the hell are these two on about?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. We as a therapist have to set the mood and the intention in the room. So we have to kind of make sure that we're feeling relaxed and grounded, as we use that word a lot. We have to make sure that we're in that that way. I can't quite think of the word, but yeah, we just need to make sure that that's how we're feeling, because if we're feeling super energized and we've taken on what they're putting out, you're just going to mirror each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually I want to touch base on that, because as you said, you're very connected to your clients. And I've almost got, do you know that Emma Louise song, Two Bodies? I'm never going to sing on the podcast ever again, but I've got that playing in my head because you're so connected with your client there. I mean, physically and spiritually and mentally, it's a huge task. Do you have a ritual or a cleansing or something that you do between clients to debrief with yourself and to clear that energy? Because that's huge, especially post-pandemic, to take that on.
Yeah. Every time I come out of a treatment, I always wash my arms, and I just vision inside of my head, I'm literally releasing anything maybe I've absorbed from the client, and it's all washing down the drain. That was a huge thing that my mum taught me when I was younger to do, just being out in general. And I really took that on outside of my treatments. And then the next thing is having that time in between. So I'm not feeling rushed running into the next person. Like when I'm resetting my room, I'm taking my time. And even when I'm making the bed, it's not rushed. It's really soft, and it's a ritual in itself. And I just try and hold that feeling in the room always, which I find really, really helps. And at the start of every day, and I learnt this through my kinesiologist, is just imagining like a white bubble basically going over your entire body, and that's protecting both your energy and also protecting other people's energy from either entering into you or for you to like absorb theirs. So it's a visualization, but it does really, really help.
Yeah, very cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the biggest lesson is that you've taken away from treating clients, because you've been a therapist for such a long time. Have there been any, little magic pearls that you've taken away from them and that you've kept?
I think for me is that connection is everything. And both connection through communication, but also through energy. And I do mention the word energy a lot, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what we are. We're all just one big energy, and we gravitate towards the people that we are needing. So I've done facials in the past on people who've loved their treatment, but maybe we haven't quite connected energetically. So they haven't returned to see me, which is fine. We're not supposed to get along with everyone, or we're not supposed to connect with everyone, and that's okay. But those people that you connect with, it's amazing. And I had a client come in on the weekend who I hadn't seen in 3 years, but she, through the world of social media, tracked me down, and she came all the way out here, and it was amazing. It's like no time had passed. We were chatting about like her life and everything, and those connections there are why I do what I do. I love it. I'm so interested in them as a person that I think we need to look past, we're just treating their skin. We need to look at the person and what they're putting out, because it's really amazing, and it can be so magical.
Yes, I love that. Look at the entire person, not just looking at the skin. Very important. So you opened your business at the start of 2020, which pretty much you've had a whole year off. What do you hope moving into 2021 for yourself and for your clients and for the business?
For me, it's just creating momentum again, and I've moved to a whole new area, so it's just meeting new people and attracting new people, which I'm really excited about. So that's kind of like next year my focus is around just continually building the brand and building the business, and I'm really excited about that kind of chapter that's coming up.
Absolutely. Well, I have absolutely no doubt that once people find you and know you and have a treatment, they will be clients for life. That's for sure. Sam, thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Tamara.
I often speak to business owners, CEOs, general managers and the like about their big dreamy careers, and find so much interest and inspo hearing about their love for our industry. But today, this conversation has managed to do that in its own unique way through honouring the therapy part of our industry, which after all, without the therapy, there would be no beauty therapists, right? Sometimes we want to fast track our careers to be more and do more, but when I speak to people like Sam, it just proves that every level of career success can be reached, no matter what that might look like to you, when you have a burning love and passion for what you do. If you're a therapist, I hope the next treatment you perform allows you to hold space for your client, feed them emotionally, and provide them a sense of grounding through your touch and presence. Follow along with Sam if you're interested in learning from the best over on the gram at Marci Wellness, and us, of course, at Beauté Industry. Until next time, stay connected.